Hey guys, Prowl 1701 here. I hope everybody's having a good day. Today we're going to talk about the Doctor Who's 60th anniversary theme, everything going on with an Unearthly Child, and um, some updated effect stuff on the DDs. I want to start off by saying thank you to Simon. Simon joined the Patreon recently, and Simon's been a huge supporter of the channel. He he sent several things to the P.O. box. He's always very supportive in the comments. And I really appreciate him joining the Patreon, and I hope he enjoys all the benefits and perks there. I also want to give a shout out to one of my other subscribers, Patrick, who made like the most perfect comment on a video ever. I absolutely loved it. He made a comment on the unboxing video I did recently where TARDIS Spider sent me the little TARDIS ornament with the spiders in it. That was actually sent from TARDIS Spider. Patrick made the perfect comment to the little Christmas ornament TARDIS I got sent. He wrote, "Frank the Dalek would be so jealous." And I laughed so hard. I laughed probably for a solid 30 seconds because you guys know my theory about Frank the Dalek from Death to the Daleks, and it's his little model TARDIS they shoot up. I've talked about Frank the Dalek a lot on the channel. So his comment on that was just perfect, and I absolutely loved it. So I had to give a shout out to Patrick for that. First off, a couple of things that have happened that I haven't really done videos on. One of them is the fact they have released what the 60th anniversary theme is going to sound like. I know a lot of other YouTubers have already done videos about it. I didn't, partially just because I wasn't overly impressed with it. The theme in itself is fine. It's not bad by any means. I liked it well enough. Sounds too much like the Russell T Davies era one theme to me, though, like Murray Gold's theme that he did when Eccleston and Tennant were the Doctor. And I don't know, it's not different enough. Like when the first time I listened to the theme, the first thing that went through my head is Murray Gold made this. Murray Gold very obviously made this. And it's got an epic sound to it, which Murray Gold does some very epic music. Which I enjoy that. I don't know if is the chat okay? I haven't seen anybody write in the chat yet. I was hoping the chat was all right. I did it a little differently today, so it could only get so many messages every like a message every 20 seconds or something. But I wasn't sure if it was working all right. But yeah, it just sounds too much like Murray Gold's old theme. It's very obvious. Oh, there we go. What's up, Sutter? What's up, Liam? Liam, it's good to see y'all both. I appreciate having y'all in today. What's up, Shamrock? It's good to see you today as well. Appreciate you guys jumping in. I just wanted to make sure it was working all right. Like, to me, the Doctor Who theme is supposed to sound alien and different, like the original Ron Grainer version of it does, or Debbie's version of it, if you want to call it that. It has this unique alien sound to it. It's not like any other theme in TV, which I like. The Howl version, most of the Doctor Who versions of the theme do that really well. My personal favorite version of the theme is the Sylvester McCoy version. I've talked about that too. I love the McCoy era theme so much. It just has this unearthly sound to it, which I absolutely love. The original Murray Gold version of it was fine. I even liked the 13th Doctor's version of it. And the version we've had most recently, I thought, whatever you think about the Whittaker era, I thought that version of the theme was really good. But this version of the theme feels epic. It does feel epic, but it doesn't feel alien and weird and out there and spacey. It feels like the main goal is make it sound big and epic for the 60th, not make it sound like a Doctor Who theme, if that makes sense. And that just kind of bothers me. It feels like more of the same. I was a bit disappointed. That's why I didn't do a video at the time. I just didn't want to do a video being negative about it. It just sounded like more of the same. Now let's talk about this crazy mess going on with an Unearthly Child. Okay. Most of you guys know everything going on with an Unearthly Child by this point, or not everything, but we all know the gist of it. So the original writer of An Unearthly Child, Anthony Coburn, his son, Steph Coburn, is basically removing the rights of the BBC to do anything with it from now on. Removing the rights for them to stream it, to put it out on DVD or Blu-ray. He's doing everything he can to get it out of their hands. How much of this he's going to be able to do, I'm curious. This guy tweets a lot, and apparently I haven't looked at his Twitter, but I've seen photo snaps of other people doing stuff on his Twitter, and heard people talking about his Twitter. His Twitter is oof. Like, this guy is, yeah, Shamrock, this guy is out there. Some of the stuff he tweets, which I'm not going to repeat here, but some of the stuff he tweets is out there. I mean, he thinks the BBC either purposely tried to overwork his dad to the point where his dad died. What's up, Ryan? How you doing, buddy? It's good to see you. I mean, most of you guys know at least what's going on. I think the big question is, how much of the rights does he actually own? Now, obviously, he claims the BBC offered him like £20,000 to relicense, and he said no, and he sent him a counter offer, which he didn't say how much it was. People really get mad about him on Twitter. About it on Twitter. Yeah, I've seen people blowing up at him about it on Twitter. And he did a counter offer, but he also asked for some other stuff in the counter offer that made it seem like it wasn't, there's no way the BBC would agree to that. The BBC have officially said they're not going to have an Unearthly Child on iPlayer, because they did announce a lot of Classic Who coming to iPlayer. I like Kill the Moon. Am I not allowed to stay? You are definitely allowed to stay. Ridiculous opinion and all. I'm just kidding. I'm just playing. You're allowed to stay, Ryan. If you like Kill the Moon, you like Kill the Moon. I don't understand why. That's all you. If you like Kill the Moon, you like Kill the Moon. Shamrock Spay. Yeah, Spay. But I mean, the guy is obviously asking a lot. He's probably asked for a lot more money, and he seems a bit like Steph Colbert seems a bit out there. Now, I am really big on people maintaining rights to their creations. I think there's plenty of people who have worked for Marvel and DC who have gotten screwed out of a lot of money because Marvel owns the characters they created. And I love that, people, I love the fact that Terry Nation Estate owns the Daleks. I do. I love the fact that Terry Nation retained the rights to his creation. The guy who invented the Brigadier retained the rights to the Brigadier. I enjoy creators getting paid for their work. This, though, what we're looking at here as an Unearthly Child, is an example of why that could be a bad thing. One, it's not even something the guy created. It's something his dad created. But he's basically holding the rights to an Unearthly Child hostage to get what he wants. Perhaps his counteroffer was him wanting to be the next Doctor. Oh, goodness. Well, considering his opinion of the last couple of Doctors, he has a very old-fashioned view of things, let us say. So he didn't like Whitaker, and he didn't like Schuette's casting. He has a very narrow-minded view of things, let us put it. So he's basically holding them hostage to get what he wants. Now, I think there was an update. I know Nerd Den did a video recently, just an hour or two ago, talking about it. I saw where it was on one of the forums that apparently him and the BBC are back at the bargaining table. And he's saying that perhaps the BBC is willing to meet him part way on some of the other concessions he asked for. Although one of the things he says he has to get is like an apology from Ian Levine and some of the other people. This is weird. Several people have pointed out that you know it's bad when Ian Levine is on the right side of the conversation here. Which I personally don't have anything against Ian. Ian actually has done quite a lot for Doctor Who over the years. I'll always give him credit for that, even if he might not be the easiest person to get along with. Liam, will it affect the collection season one? Very much could. It depends on how all this pans out. Maybe that's why they haven't started work on the season one box set yet. Restoration wise, Peter Crocker mentioned just a month or two ago, he hadn't even started restoration work on season one. So we knew the season one box set was a ways off and not coming anytime soon. Maybe this is part of the reason. But if like I said, there's a lot of this stuff I don't know. There's a lot of this stuff none of us know. None of us know. Even all of us reporting on it, we don't know. It's a huge mess on who actually has the rights. What does Steph Colburn actually legally have the right to? Keep in mind, this is the same guy that 10 years ago during the 50th anniversary tried to claim he owned the TARDIS. And obviously that never went anywhere. So it all gets tied up in the rights. His dad at the time, was his dad working as a BBC staff member? Was he working as freelance? Because I know he did both in this period, apparently. So this could be the reason why the BBC is not putting it on the iPlayer. Could just be because they're busy getting their lawyers and their legal team all of their ducks in a row before they go to court over it. We don't know. I don't know. No one really knows. The BBC, I'm sure, are going through all the old paperwork, whatever exists of it, trying to figure out legally where they stand. Supposedly, Steph Colburn also has a lawyer that he's working with. So it's all going to boil down to how these rights work out, because rights, especially back then in the 60s, all that stuff is way more murkier, I'm sure, than it is now. Pity the season 1 box set wasn't released before this got kicked off. Yeah, maybe that's why. I don't know how long the rights have been like this. Although I know, like, an Unearthly Child is still on, I think, Daily Motion. I think it was still available on BritBox. So I don't know. The fact that the BBC is pulling an Unearthly Child from its move to ITV, I suspect might just be because they want to make sure they've legally got a ground, stand on, a leg to stand on. Is what I meant to say. So they're probably just doing that as a precaution. So maybe it'll come back. It's all going to depend on how all this plays out. I can see this going to court. I can see the BBC just laying low right now, getting their ducks in a row. Although, again, Steph claims they've come back to the bargaining table. Maybe they should just remake it with David Bradley. But again, even if you remade it, it would be using probably the same story elements. I don't know how that works. It's on Amazon BritBox. I got you. Okay, Amazon and BritBox. What's up, Playing with History? It's good to see you back. Like I said, it's a huge mess. I never expected any of this to happen. Like, it's so surreal to even have this going on, especially with it being the original 4 stories, especially being right here a month away from the 60th anniversary, which may be the reason why Steph is doing all this, because attention is at an all-time high. This hold on a season 1 box set, yes, this could affect the season 1 box set big time. I think this could be the end of the collection set since an Unearthly Child missing. I don't know, Joseph. What's up, Joseph? What's up, Rick? It's temporarily out of stock on Amazon because demand is starting. Yes, I've seen that. When I actually looked on Amazon a couple days ago, the Beginnings box set was the #1 seller in television. It had that right by it, #1 seller in television. So people are buying up the box sets like crazy. One, because maybe they just think they'll really appreciate in value. 2, just because they want to make sure they get a copy before they can't get a copy. But yeah, it's been selling a lot. The box set's been selling a lot. I have the US release of it myself, so I'm good. I bought that a little while back. Oh man, yeah. I'm glad you're getting the box sets you wanted, Rick. That is awesome. I bet VHS of an Unearthly Child is going to be £100. Well, again, that could be one of the reasons why the Beginnings box set is selling so well, is because people think it might appreciate in value. The UK version from a scalper. Don't do that. People only like the first episode on Unearthly Child, haven't aged great. I enjoy the whole story, but much like the Space Museum, the first episode is key, and it is a really good key episode. Betamax. Betamax. The first episode of Doctor Who is just great. The actual episode called An Unearthly Child is great. I actually really enjoy it. Paul says, I got 2 VHS copies and the DVD. So glad I got 3 copies. And you could probably end up selling one of those VHS copies if this doesn't pan out well. I'm happy with my DVD copy, but I do want, of course, it on the season 1 box set. Even the season 1 collection will be $100 after it comes out. The way inflation's going, you might be right, Joseph. uh, like I said, a lot of it is stuff we don't know about. Us, the public, it's going to be what's going on behind doors. How much you can trust of what Steph is even saying, I don't know, because that guy is, like I said, his Twitter feed is wow. It's full of. This guy's a character. Let me tell you, this guy is a character with some interesting beliefs. Joseph is watching John Pertwee. I do like John Pertwee. John Pertwee is a great doctor. He's one of my favorites. He's my number 3, actually, appropriately enough. So it's the reason why I didn't do a video on this when it all came out. I really didn't know how much more to add. I have rips from, okay, Daniel has several rips from the DVDs and VHS. What's up, Daniel? I'm hoping the BBC will find out that they actually own it lock, stock, and barrel. That would be nice. But the way they've approached it could either be seen as them being cautious, making sure they get their ducks in a row, or them knowing that Steph at least owns part of it, and he's got to work with them in some way. So they have to work with him in some way to be able to secure a relicense for it to do other media like streaming and Blu-ray and all that. With all that's going on, I'm hoping the BBC are working on animating Marco Polo. And Joseph is watching season 15. I do like season 15. Tom Baker, I do like season 15 a lot. My thoughts are just that this hopefully gets resolved quickly. I really don't like the idea of the BBC having to give this man money or any kind of concession, but that might be just where we're at. The BBC, of course, is going to know more about this than any of us do. And seeing what comes next. Joseph hopes the season 15 set will be next. I would love that. I think the next collection box set will either be a Tom season or Troutman season 6. Season 6 or a Tom Baker season. I fully expect to be the next set we get. But with Steph, I'm just surprised we're even having to deal with this. The idea of someone who has the rights to something like this. Again, it's not his. It was a story his father wrote. He just has inherited the rights. Having the kind of mental attitude he has is just, it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. And to be going through all of this mess right here at the 60th for the first story. Personally, if they could secure getting just an Unearthly Child, the first episode of the 4-parter released, it wouldn't be as bad because you can actually go straight from an Unearthly Child, part 1, to the Daleks. I mean, even the David Whitaker novelization did that originally. It basically takes the part 1 of an Unearthly Child, even though it's very different in the actual novelization. And then when they teleport from London, they end up on Skaro. It cuts out the tribal caveman stuff completely. You could actually do that. I hope this situation is sorted out for iPlayer in season 1. Steph did this sort of thing about, yes, I mentioned that as well. Yes, and other people wonder if he's, yeah, you're not the only one to think that. There's a lot of that going on. And some of the stuff he says on Twitter is, it's very, very out there. I don't know how this is going to resolve. It's very frustrating because one of the whole points of moving all of classic Doctor Who to the iPlayer is so it can be far more accessible for new fans or for modern Who fans who have not seen a lot of classic Doctor Who. And some people may want to start from the beginning and watch it in chronological order. And the first story's gone. Which, to be fair, I think you can start with the Daleks. You can. But I at least wish you could see that first episode of An Unearthly Child where it sets everything up. That seems like something you need to me personally. And so it punishes all of the fans. And Steph even says he doesn't want to punish the fans. It's just he wants to get his way. And he's basically holding these episodes hostage to get his way. And I think somebody said something about he wanted to get some unmade thing his father wrote back in the day made. The BBC's definitely not going to pony out the margin of that. Yeah, imagine if Steph got the rights to the word TARDIS. Good Lord. Yeah, I don't even want to think about that. That would have been terrible. I'm glad at least that court battle from 10 years ago never went anywhere. That was, oof. It's a mess. It's a mess. It's a mess. That's pretty much my thoughts on that. I mean, because we don't know anything. We're not, on the BBC's legal team. It's the reason why I never did a whole video about this. There's plenty of other people doing videos about this. I'm certainly no legal expert. I'm certainly not a legal expert on 1960s copyright law. So that's just kind of where we stand. What's up, TARDIS? It's good to see you, buddy. Figured you were caught up watching some football. Hopefully my Crimson Tide is losing to somebody. Or the Crimson Tide, not my Crimson Tide. I'm a Gators fan. One of the other things I was going to transition into, kind of tabling all that until we get more information, is I was going to talk about the updated effects for Classic Who. Because I was curious about all the stories that have gotten updated effects. Playing History says, I imagine this will get worked out. I better rewatch it on BritBox next few days, though. Yeah, I'm sure eventually they'll either give Steph something, they'll reach a compromise, or else the BBC legal team will find some loophole, some leg to stand on, and they'll go that way. So one way or another, this will get worked out, I think. Getting the Velvet ready for tonight. Oh, TARDIS must be going to a convention if he's wearing the Velvet jacket. I bet Tom Baker's stories disappeared in copyright like Planet of Evil and Robots of Death. Nah, hopefully not. But I was looking at the stories from the classic range that have gotten updated effects. There's been about 28 of them, if I'm doing my math right, out of the 160 stories that compromise the classic series, including Shada. Interestingly enough, the Doctor who has had the most updated stories is Peter Davison. Who knew? Who would have thought Peter Davison would have more updated stories than anyone else but Peter Davison? And it's a whopping 10 stories out of 20. Ooh, that sounds like fun. A costume ball. I hope you have a good time at that, TARDIS. I do like that velvet jacket. Very John Pertwee like. But yeah, Peter Davison has had 10 out of his 20 stories. Half of Peter Davison's stories have optional updated effects. Half. Oh, yes, I actually watched his channel, Daniel. I have seen a lot of his updated effects. I can never pronounce his name. King Monkey. I do really like him. I wish he had a name that was easier for me to pronounce. I love his updated effects, especially like the ones he did for the Horns of Nimon. I want to be able to edit that into my actual box set on there because I love his updated effects for Horns of Nimon. He's done some really good stuff. I much prefer his updated effects, especially for the laser blast on Nightmare of Eden 2. His laser blast are way better than the actual updated laser blast we got. But yeah, I've got a list here of all the Doctors that have had updated effects. Hartnell has had one story with updated effects. Troughton has not had any criminal, but so much of his era has had to be reanimated. Pertwee has had 4. Tom Baker has had 8, but 8 out of 42 is not like a whole lot because he has 42 stories. Peter Davison has had 10 out of 20. That's impressive. What's up, Steve? How you doing? Yeah, I love A&W, man. I love A&W. Yes, thank you. That's good stuff. Colin has had 3 of his stories updated with better effects, and McCoy has had 2 of his, not counting the little regeneration scene at the beginning of Time of the Ronnie, because that's the only updated effect to that is the DVD Easter egg that's on the Blu-ray box set with the updated regeneration. I'm not counting that. But he's had 2 stories, both from season 26. So the only story to get updated effects from Hartnell was in the arm. I didn't know that. I don't think I've ever seen that. Yeah, the only Hartnell story, the only 60 story that has had updated effects is the Dalek Invasion of Earth, which those updated effects look really good, I have to admit. But I think a lot of the 60 stories don't really need it. I think being in black and white lends themselves to lends itself to its effects very, very well. I feel like I can't think of a single 60 story that just needs updated effects. I mean, there's some you could give them to, I guess, but Nothing that I'm like, yeah, that needs updated effects. I think the 60s are fine. And I doubt the 60s sets will get any of them just because they're going to be spending so much money on restoration for the episodes since they're basically all telerecordings for the most part. Getting them restored up to Blu-ray quality, I'm pretty sure that's all we'll see. McCoy was in Twas. The Three Doctors new effects is amazing. I think you mean the Five Doctors. Wazzle Gummidge Down Under is coming out on Blu-ray next month. I've heard about that. That's awesome. I also know Black Adder is coming out next month on Blu-ray, and I love Black Adder. I love Black Adder. I've got the DVD box set. Patrick Troughton was in The Saint. I didn't know that. Cool laser blast, color laser blast would pop. They would pop, but I don't think we'll see that for 60s Doctor Who. I really don't think we'll see that happen. 70s Doctor Who, I can see more happening. The stories we've gotten so far from Pertwee's had Pertwee has had 4 stories with updated effects. Terror of the Autons in season 8, which, let's be honest, was more CSO cleanup, which it needed. To be fair, it needed. And I do prefer the updated effects for Terror of the Autons, even the nesting scene. Season 9, of course, had Day of the Daleks. You guys know I love the updated version of Day of the Daleks. That is the definitive version of Day of the Daleks. For sure. Season 10 was Planet of the Daleks. It got updated effects. I actually prefer the original version. This is the one case that always pops out in my head. I prefer the original effects for Planet of the Daleks, although I'm not a big fan of Planet of the Daleks to begin with. And then, of course, season 11 has the Time Warrior, which I do prefer the updated effects, and I just love the Time Warrior. And those are the only 4 stories that Pertwee has gotten. Tom has gotten, season 12 had The Ark in Space on the DVD set and Revenge of the Cybermen on the Blu-ray. Colin Baker was in Snake Dance. Wait, what? I don't remember that. He was in Ark of Infinity. But the Ark of Space and Revenge of the Cybermen have had updated effects. Talons has had updated effects in season 4. Season 15 has The Invisible Enemy and The Invasion of Time with updated effects, both from the DVD releases, both of which are an improvement. Season 17 had Destiny of the Daleks and Nightmare of Eden with updated effects. Destiny from the DVDs and Nightmare from the Blu-ray. Although Destiny did get a new sound mix, which added in like more modulation to Davros's voice, which sounds way better on the Blu-ray. And then, of course, season 18, Legopolis got updated effects. So he has 8. Now, let's talk about Peter Davison with half of his stories having updated effects, because that's crazy for me. Bananas are good. What's up? Hey, buddy. I love that screen name. I always love that screen name. Castrovalva. From season 19, we have 3 stories with updated effects. Castrovalva from the Blu-ray set, which looks remarkably better, and that's my favorite Davison story, so I'm a huge fan of that. Kinda, which is just the snake at the end, but it needed that. That's a good updated effect. And Earthshock, also good updated effects. Doctor Who's Magical Entertainment. What's up, buddy? It is good to see you. Earthshock, I love the added scene of the ship crashing into the planet, but it has updated laser effects. You guys know Prowl loves him some updated laser effects, so those look really good. Destiny of the Daleks was the first story of Doctor Who when watching in 2003, and I like Destiny of the Daleks. Destiny of the Daleks is a fun watch. I don't know what it is, but it's such a fun watch. Unknown 289 has made it. What's up, buddy? And Tegan Jamanka was in Austria. I don't think she was in Austria. Australia? Austria. Those are different. Where was I? Season 20. Yeah, season 20, Australia. Yeah, I figured that's what you meant, Australia. Aztecs was my first DVD, and Curse of Peladon. Both good stories. Season 20, we have 6 out of the 7 stories now have updated effects. 6 out of 7. We have Ark of Infinity from the DVD, Snake Dance from the Blu-ray. And again, Snake Dance is just part 4. I think they did that just to have Snake Dance be in line with the updated snake effect from Kenda. And that works for me. Gives it some consistency. Maldron Undead from the DVD release, Terminus from the DVD release. And then Earthshock is a situation where it has 2 updated effects. You have the original DVD release, which is of course done in the movie format with updated effects, and then brand new updated effects for the Blu-ray box set in the traditional episodic format. And then you have Five Doctors, which has also had 2 updated special effects, the one from 1995 and the one we just got for the 40th anniversary of the Five Doctors on the box set. So not only does Peter Davison have the most with updated effects with 10, half of his run, but 2 of those 10 have had updated effects twice. Somebody really likes Peter Davison's Doctor and era. Colin, of course, has from season 22, Time Lash has updated effects, which really help it. One of the reasons I think I might like Time Lash more than most was the first time I watched it was on the box set. I watched it with the updated effects, and they look really good. And of course, the DVD release of it, Revelation of the Daleks, has updated effects, which help it as well. The updated laser effects for the Dalek Blast are a big improvement for me. It really makes the shootout between the Daleks land better. I don't think all the stories need an omnibus version, but I do like some of the stories having an omnibus version. Even the Genesis one's really good. Then the Day of the Daleks one's really good. And of course, Colin had updated effects on Terror of the Vervoids, which, but it's only on the trial-less version. So the one with the trial scenes edited out, which is how I prefer to watch it anyway. I like that I can watch that story now as a standalone version without having all the trial stuff boring me out of it. And then McCoy's had 2 stories with updated effects, both from season 26, Battlefield and Curse of Fenric. Though I think Curse of Fenric's updated effects is also only in the movie length format, if I remember correctly. And the color grading on that format is also better. I prefer that version of the story, even though it's in movie format. They've reordered some of the sequences, I think, to the way they were originally supposed to be, because a lot of Curse of Fenric had to get cut down because of airtime. They were all overrunning. So I prefer the movie length version of it. I think I've got that right. And I do enjoy Curse of Fenric and Battlefield a lot. So 28 stories, if I'm doing my math right, out of 160. I'm hoping we get more. I think I even got a list here for, yes, future updated stories. We'll talk about that in just a second. We'll get a sip of some more of this A&W here. All right. Yeah. So I'm going to talk about 10 stories in Classic Who that I think need updated effects. At least the 10 that occur to me the most. And they're not necessarily in the order I think them, but they're mostly in the order. Wife took me away. What? Your wife took you away from Doctor Who? One's going to have to seriously rethink this wife thing, TARDIS. So the number one story that I think needs updated effects in Classic Who. I know a lot of you, your first jump is probably going to be a certain dinosaur-related story, and we'll get to that one, but that's not the one that jumps out on my mind. Mysterious Planet, Mind Warp, and Ultimate Foes should have trial-less versions as well. I don't think you can make that work. I don't think you could edit all of those properly to make that work. That's been talked about, I think, in the forums before. I think the only one they could get away with that with was Vervoids. But the story that I think more than any other story needs to have updated effects is Resurrection of the Daleks. See, when that season 21 box set comes out, I have got to get some updated effects for Resurrection of the Daleks because I love the story. We're talking about a story that infamously has more deaths than The Terminator, which is a movie where he walks in and shoots up people in a police station. There's a lot of deaths in Resurrection. And so Bananas Are Good says Spiders is one of the stories that needs updated effects the most. I have that one on the list, actually. We'll get to that one. I have it on my list. Like I said, I've got 10 on the list, but the main one is Resurrection. And the part of that is because there's been 2 or 3 people on YouTube who have done fan-made updated effects, including the YouTuber we talked about just a few minutes ago, whose name I can never pronounce. And they look so much better. Like some of them even show like a before and after, like the original effect, the updated effect is night and day. Like the guards that are defending when the Daleks invade, their weapons just make that. They don't shoot any lasers or anything. They just kind of light up. You know, they add in little laser effects. Sometimes they're steady streams. Sometimes they're little projectiles. but it's so much better. They improved the Dalek beams. They improved the other effect. It's the fan made updated effects I have seen for Resurrection of the Daleks improved the story so much. That is just the story. I hope the season 120 has Davison on the front and Colin on the back. That would be creative. I could see that. Kind of like they did with the Black Guardian on the back of season 20. That's actually a really good idea. Davison on the front, Colin on the back. I would love that. You need to shoot a message about that to Lee Binding. But yeah, give me Resurrection of the Daleks more than any of them. That's the one. If we get a season 21 box set and Resurrection doesn't get updated effects, the complaining I will be doing in the video where I talk about the announcement for that season will be massive. Same with season 4. Yeah, have Troughton on the front and Hartnell on the back. I agree, Paul. That would be really good for season 4. I would actually really like that. The next one on the list I have is Invasion of the Dinosaurs, because Invasion of the Dinosaurs needs them. Let's just be honest, Invasion of the Dinosaurs needs them. And the funny thing is, for me, a lot of the dinosaur effects aren't that bad. I'm not like they're not good. They're not that bad. The Brontosaurus, the Stegosaurus, they're fine. The problem for me, and I think some of you can agree with me on this, is the T-Rex. The T-Rex just looks not like a T-Rex. It looks awful. And it's a shame because Invasion of the Dinosaurs is such a good story. Such a good story. I absolutely love it. I love everything going on with Yates that you don't see coming. I like the cast in it. It's another one of those stories that has, was it Peter Miles? Is that his name? The guy who plays Niter. And I love that guy when he's in Doctor Who. So it's great having him back here. But yeah, if they could do updated effects on the dinosaurs that look good, I would love to have that. Now, if they're just going to be the CGI equivalent of what we've already got, don't bother. So put a little money into it and give me some decently good updated effects for the dinosaurs, or don't bother. Bananas Good says, I think the season 21 cover should have Davison with his costume covered in Andromeda mud. Yes, and some of Colin's features starting to show. I don't know about that part. I'd rather just do Colin on the back and let Davison have his moment on the front. Although I would love him to have the mud at the end of Caves and him holding the Bat's vial milk in his hand. That would be the Bat's milk vial, yeah, in his hand. Would work for me. I would actually really, really like that. Next one on the list, and this one would actually be my number 2. Like, I would actually pick this one over Invasion of the Dinosaurs. I've been to the castle where they filmed The Time Warrior. I am so jealous. I am in the States. I have not got to go to these locations. I'm so jealous. But the number 2 on my list is The Pirate Planet. You guys know I love The Pirate Planet. It's my favorite season 15 story. What would the season 7 and season 11 Blu-ray episode? Oh, the episode that announced it? I don't know. 7 could be about the parallel Earth from Inferno. Maybe it hasn't completely been destroyed yet, and people are doing what they can to survive. It could be a dark, bleak episode. Possibly something with the Autons again, even though they've already done that, or something with the Silurians. Although they kind of did that with Sea Devils of 9. I'm not sure. Season 11. I don't know. So many people from season 11 gone now. And Richard basically retired. Richard Franklin basically retired from doing all of that kind of stuff after that last surgery he had. I don't really know what they could do for 11. I don't know. But Pirate Planet. You guys know I love Pirate Planet. My favorite season 16 story. I tend to love Douglas Adams scripts. The location film elements still survive, much like with the 5 Doctors. The location work for Pirate Planet survives. The BBC has it in their archive. So that location work for Pirate Planet is already going to pop and look great on Blu-ray when we get it. But the one thing Pirate Planet could use is some updated effects. You guys know how I am about my laser blast. I love my laser blast. And the laser shots in Pirate Planet are not that good. You know, they're just the little dots showing up on wherever they're aiming. I need actual laser blast. That way I can watch the story and be like, that would be me. That's a weird expression. And then they could change the sound effect of the laser blast because they sound weird. And then when the Mentats use their psychic abilities, you could improve that effect a bit. You could do some CSO cleanup on the hover cars. Again, the one YouTuber that we've talked about before on the channel, just a few minutes ago, I can't. I really wish he had an easier to pronounce name. I like him though. He's done some updated effects on his YouTube channel that look great for this story. So I would. That's my number 2. Yeah, the little hover car, the hover car thing they drive in Pirate Planet, the one that the Doctor keeps stealing. Yeah, that one. There's some CSO work you can clean up there and make that look a little better. Pirate Planet's actually fairly effects heavy in places. So there's a lot you could do with that I would like to see. I would also like to see the Armageddon Factor get updated effects. I know they wouldn't do both, but I would really love to see one of those stories get updated effects. Again, the Armageddon Factor is very effects heavy. A lot of spaceship shots. Boy, say that 3 times fast. 11's mini episode trailer could be about Peladon. It could. That's actually a good one right there. It could be about Peladon. That's a good idea. So I would love to see Armageddon Factor. Again, I've seen YouTubers do updated effects for Armageddon Factor. They look really good. There's several laser blasts you could upgrade, spaceship shots you could upgrade, the computer counting down you could upgrade. There's a lot you can do if you really wanted to make that episode pop more. And I know Armageddon Factor is not the most popular story, so maybe that would make it appeal a little more to some of the fandom. I have Horror of Fang Rock on here. Horror of Fang Rock is great. It's easily one of the best post-Hinchcliffe stories. And that's all it really needs is a little updated effects. I've talked about that before. You know, season 15, I don't know if season 15 will get any new Blu-ray exclusive updated effects because 2 of the 6 stories already have updated effects. Invisible Enemy and Invasion of Time already have updated effects. Underworld, despite what some people say, doesn't really need updated effects. It could use some CSO cleanup, but the actual model shots in Underworld are some of the best model shots in all of Doctor Who, to be honest. They look really good. Aside from some CSO cleanup, Underworld is fine. Sunmakers doesn't need them. Image of the Fendal doesn't really need them. I mean, you could do some touching up of the image of the Fendal's final form, the Fendal's final form. Could use some stuff done to it to make it look a little more intimidating, but doesn't need it. Really, the only thing that kind of really would benefit that hasn't already gotten updated effects from season 15 is Horror of Fang Rock. Redoing some of the model shots, making the Rutan look a little more intimidating in its normal form, maybe updating its transitions, when it's transitioning forms a little more. I would enjoy that a lot. And that would really make a story that I already consider a 10 out of 10, an 11 out of 10, which I would be fine with. Image of the Fendal is another one I have mentioned on here just because, again, the Fendal's final form could use some upgrading a little bit. Planet of the Spiders, which somebody already mentioned here. Yeah, Planet of the Spiders could use some updated effects, particularly with the spiders if they have the budget for that. Because I like Planet of the Spiders. I don't think it's like top tier Pertwee, but I like it well enough. But it could use some updated effects. Remembrance of the Daleks, I think could use a few. It's nothing major. I think it's fine with the effects it has, but I wouldn't mind seeing it. It's really weird to me that the Dalek blast in this story are more projectile based, if you noticed, in Remembrance. Usually they shoot the solid laser beams, but here they're shooting more projectile ball blast, and that always is a little weird for me. So maybe making them look more like traditional blast. Although I do love the fact that one faction of the Daleks shoots the traditional green ones and the other faction of the Daleks shoots the orange ones. I do like that a lot. Silver Nemesis. I mentioned Silver Nemesis could use some updated effects. Nothing major, but I would love to see it have them. And then Stones of Blood, which again doesn't need them, but again, the same YouTuber whose name I can never pronounce has done updated effects for it on his YouTube channel, and they're good. How many seasons left for Tom Baker now? 3. Tom Baker has 3 seasons. We still haven't gotten in the collection box set range. We have not gotten 13, 15, 16. And the color that Leak Binding leaked makes me think it could be 13 or 15. I don't think it would be 16 because that kind of beige, cream, tan color doesn't fit 16 for me, although it does look kind of like the sky background at the beginning Ribos Operation when he's meeting with the White Guardian. It does look kind of like that. But I would assume they would use that traditional lilac color they use for season 16, the color of the key itself. That makes way more sense to me. Although he's kind of used that color in several of the other box sets, or a similar color to it. I think Lee Binding really likes purples and magentas a lot. But I think it'll be season 13 or 15. I think that color scheme fits both of them. Or season 6. I think I can see that having that kind of sepia color would work for season 6. But yeah, the other one I thought was Stones of Blood. There are some effects there you can do some stuff with. Again, as fans have already done on YouTube, like when he's teleporting from hyperspace to normal space, the stuff the Kaliak does with her staff, the effects of the aliens themselves when they're moving around in the ship, judging him, even though I think that actual effect worked pretty well. Those are just 10 stories I think could use updated effects personally. And I think most of those are the ones people would want. Invasion of the Dinosaurs. I think most of you would agree Resurrection needs them. Resurrection very much needs them. I would have a hard time watching Resurrection without them. Having seen YouTube people do videos of them, I would have a really hard time getting all the way through it. That's the story that needs them, even more than Invasion, more than Pirate Planet, which I also think really needs them. They really need to fix that one in Pirate Planet when the wrench just hits the thing and blows it up. They really need to clean that up and make that look a little bit better. So, yeah, I think that about covers the updated effects stuff I wanted to talk about, because I do love when Classic Who stories get updated effects. And it had just never occurred to me until I was writing down my list that Davison's era half of his era has them. So that's pretty cool. Yeah, I think that covered about everything I wanted to talk about today, fellas. I think I am about to go kick back a little bit. I'm a little tired today. I need to turn on my AC as well. But yeah, the Unearthly Child stuff, just to recap, the 60th anniversary theme, good, disappointing. Sounds too much like Murray Gold's stuff from his first era to me. I think I heard maybe a little bit of the TV movie music in there a little, but wasn't a huge fan of it. A bit disappointing. It's fine, but the last thing I want is this new era of Doctor Who, the 60th anniversary, going, hey, look, it's still 2008. It's 2008. We got Tennant. We got Catherine. We got the theme sounding like the theme you like. I don't want a lot of that. I want Doctor Who to move forward and do new things, to create a new era that hopefully people will like. I don't want it to just pretend it's 2008 all over again. So I found the theme a little disappointing for that. And there was a bit of Series 7B in there. Really? See, I didn't notice that. But yeah. I'm curious to see if that's just going to be the 60th theme, or that's also going to be Shooty's theme. Like, are they just going to do this theme for the 60th? Which, if so, is a little disappointing, because once again, it sounds like I lost my train of thought. TARDIS says diversion like a magician. It sounds more, again, like Doctor Who is just like the 60th is going to be a celebration of New Who, not of Doctor Who. Kind of like how the 50th was a celebration of New Who more than Doctor Who. I don't want the 60th to be a celebration of New Who over Doctor Who. At least that's what I think from what I could hear. That's fair. I mean, I had somebody else mention one time they thought they heard Peter Howell in it, and I don't hear that. I hear the McGann bit, and I hear a lot of Murray Gold bit. Like, when I hear it, that's very something I'm like, if I didn't know Murray Gold had written it, I would have been like, I think Murray Gold wrote it. It just sounds like his old theme too much. And then the stuff going on with An Unearthly Child. The fact we're even having to deal with this. Again, usually I'm really big on, I think people who create things should be able to maintain some kind of ownership over it and continue to make money, royalties off of it. But this is definitely a bad example of that, even though it's not him that created it. It was his dad who created it. He inherited it. This is definitely one of the dark sides of what can happen with that, with the episodes practically being held hostage. So he can get an apology from the BBC for all sorts of out there things that he thinks happened. Like the brass and trumpets, though, could be the original 11th Doctor one. I never liked the original 11th Doctor theme. I never did. That opening, I don't care for that opening. But I love this season 7B version of it a lot. So we'll watch the stuff going on with an Unearthly Child. It sounds like, according to Steph Colbert, however much you can take his word for it, they're coming back to the bargaining table. They're sitting down. They're talking. Maybe they're going to meet some of his demands. He claims they might be meeting some of his demands besides just the money, which he has some out there demands. So we'll see. That's just going to have to be a watch in progress. This could, again, could just be the BBC either trying to reach an agreement with him because that's the easier way to go, or whether they think they're just going to have to get all of their ducks in a row and try to go to court over it. I was rather hoping they were going to reuse the titles, but with Tennant instead of Tom. I would love to do that. I mean, we still haven't seen what the titles are going to look like yet. I personally would love for the 60th anniversary to have an opening similar to Tom's opening, with the diamond logo, and just kind of modernize it a lot. That I would love to have where it looks very similar to the Fourth Doctor's opening. I would love that. TARDIS Spider says money, 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 money. Yeah. I mean, he's got him over a barrel if he owns as much of the rights as he thinks he does, which he's probably got him over a barrel. And the BBC would have to either just not use an Unearthly Child, or else they'd have to give him the money that they probably don't have. I'm willing to bet he's asking for an outrageous sum, but nobody knows. He hasn't said what his counteroffer was. So nobody knows. We'll see. We'll keep an eye on it and see where it goes. I'm going to go ahead and get off here. I think I'm just rambling at this point. I pretty much covered all the things I wanted to talk about. Let me know what you think down in the comments about anything we talked about today, the updated effects, all that stuff, stories you might want to see, get updated effects. Don't forget to click the like button and all that. I want to give a shout out to some of my top tier patrons, Stephen Crane, Colin Coney, and Finn Perkins. I appreciate their support as I do the support of all of my patrons. And I want to give a shout out to Simon, as I much appreciate him joining the Patreon as well. He's been a huge supporter of the channel. Don't forget, if there's anything you'd like to send me, the P.O. box is down there, as is a link to the Amazon wish list, which is where somebody just sent me Greatest Show in the Galaxy. Next week's video will be Greatest Show in the Galaxy. I did. The vote was very strongly that y'all just wanted those edited together in one long video, so it's a little under an hour long. You too, TARDIS. I hope everyone gets to enjoy their journey through time and space. Next week's video will be with a live chat as a premiere, will be Greatest Show in the Galaxy reviews. We'll be reviewing all 4 parts, since that was strongly what you guys wanted in the poll. Most importantly, as always, thank you for watching.